Hi, I'm Joshua Ortiz, 18 years old, living in Salvadorian Corridor in LA County.
What was the happiest moment of your life?
I would say that the happiest moment of my life was graduating from a military school at 17 and a half because I never thought that I would graduate earlier than expected because I was so far behind credits. But some way, somehow, I managed to catch up on my credits, graduate from there, which I had to live there for 5.5 months. And living with 53 other males, it's hard because they're like, you would think that there would be no drama, but honestly, there would, like, a lot of things would go down. Like, people would try to fight, and like if you fight in Sunburst, which is the school I went to, you would get kicked out, or just like little stuff, like you would probably get boarded or get kicked out, which is something you're trying to avoid because you're trying to make a better person out of yourself while you're in there.
What was the saddest moment of your life?
I believe the saddest moment of my life was back in 2004 when I was 8 going to 9. In April 2004, my brother passed away. He got killed in a drive-by. He was 15 years old, and I remember thinking that he would come back as a robot. I guess because of all the animation I would watch or the video games I would play. I would always think that, and then I didn't cry for over a year with my sister. But once it finally hit me that he wasn't going to come back, I just broke down. Up until this day, I sometimes still do.
Who has been the biggest influence on your life?
I would say that the biggest influence in my life would be Sergeant Gama from AFCC because I felt that nobody was, well, I had a lot of support, but what he pushed me to my limits. He knew that I was capable of so much greater things, and with his help and his support, I I was on track with school. I went to SYA because he recommended it, and with his help, like, I feel like I've become a better man, and because of the program itself. But Sergeant Gama, he, like, every time I had a problem, no matter what it was, I knew that he could help me it because he had been through what I had been through in a way, but he was into bigger stuff. But he just understood me so well, and I felt like I connected with him those days that I was in boot camp.
Okay, what lessons did that person teach you?
He taught me a lot of lessons, but I think the biggest one that he taught me was is that blood is thick in the water. Cause I never realized that how much I hurted my family until he talked he talked to me. He sat down with me, had a man to man talk, something I hadn't had before, so it was a new experience. But when he told me that, I felt like I felt like something else, like, just coming from him, from his words of wisdom, and I just reflected upon it, and I looked on all the things that I had done to my mom, to my dad, and then I just realized that they had always been there since day one, and I know they will be there, and I know that I have changed so much, and they're proud of me, and I'm glad that I have changed because where I was going before, I was not going the right path, but with Sergeant Gama's help and with all the support that I've had through my life, I've become a changed person.
Who has been the biggest influence on your life?
I would say that the biggest influence in my life would be Sergeant Gama from AFCC because I felt that nobody was, well, I had a lot of support, but what he pushed me to my limits. He knew that I was capable of so much greater things, and with his help and his support, I was on track with school. I went to SYA because he recommended it, and with his help, like, I feel like I've become a better man, and because of the program itself. But Sergeant Gama, he, like, every time I had a problem, no matter what it was, I knew that he could help me it because he had been through what I had been through in a way, but he was into bigger stuff. But he just understood me so well, and I felt like I connected with him those days that I was in boot camp.
Okay. What lessons did that person teach you?
He taught me a lot of lessons, but I think the biggest one that he taught me was is that blood is thick in the water. Cause I never realized that how much I hurted my family until he talked he talked to me. He sat down with me, had a man to man talk, something I hadn't had before, so it was a new experience. But when he told me that, I felt like I felt like something else, like just coming from him, from his words of wisdom, and I just reflected upon it. And I looked on all the things that I had done to my mom, to my dad, and then I just realized that they had always been there since day one, and I know they will be there, and I know that I have changed so much, and they're proud of me, and I'm glad that I have changed because where I was going before, I was not going the right path, but with Sergeant Gama's help and with all the support that I've had through my life, I've become a changed person.
What are you proudest of in your life?
I would say that the proudest moment of my life was walking stage at 17 years old from a military school, because I never imagined that I would actually go to military school or graduate at 17 and a half. It was when I walked that stage and I received my diploma, I felt so happy because I thought that I would have to go in an extra year as a super senior. But it turns out that I graduated earlier than everybody else, and I'm happy about that. I'm really, and now, just, um, I mean, yeah.
Okay. How has your life been different than what you'd imagined?
My life has been different because I never thought that I would go to a boot camp in my life. I never thought that I would go to military school, and I never thought that I would have thought to join the military, which is what I want to do in my life. I want to be an army officer or airborne infantry or join the Marine Corps and be an infantry right there too.
Okay, how would you like to be remembered?
The way I would like to be remembered as a happy guy who talks a lot, has a sense of humor, and is patriotic and has honor, and is happy to serve his country and give his life for it.
What was the happiest moment of your life?
I would say that the happiest moment of my life was graduating from a military school at 17 and a half, because I never thought that I would graduate earlier than expected because I was so far behind credits, but some way, somehow I managed to catch up on my credits, graduate from there, which I had to live there for 5.5 months, and living with 53 other males, it's hard because they're like, you would think that there would be no drama, but honestly, there would, like, a lot of things would go down. Like, people would try to fight, and like if you fight in Sunburst, which is the school I went to, you would get kicked out, or just like little stuff, like you would probably get boarded or get kicked out, which is something you're trying to avoid because you're trying to make a better person out of yourself while you're in there.
Do you have any regrets?
As of right now, I don't have any regrets because I believe that everything happens for a reason. And if I wouldn't have gone down the path that I went through, I would not be here. I would not be here at Cleveland. I would not have gone to Cleveland, then to military school. Back in my freshman year, which is where I messed up the most because I was ditching. I had accumulated about 80 absences. Pretty much the whole second semester I was absent, and I would only show up to my algebra class, which I would show up like one day a week, pick up my work, drop it off the next week, and that's how I managed to pass that class. Because in the beginning I had an A+, I had 125% in that class, So my grade did not go down as much, but I was into all the wrong things. I would just go to Venice Beach, skate, smoke, skate, smoke, skate, smoke, and go to school sometimes. And if I did go to school, I would only go there to meet up some friends, and then just go out of school, do the wrong things. But I never got caught, and I would forge my mom's signatures. I would forge my dad's signatures whenever I wanted to clear an absence, and they wouldn't know. I mean, the school Venice would call to my house, but I knew that they called exactly at 6 p.m. So whenever I was at my dad's, I would answer the phone. I would stay with the house phone until they called, and then I would just hang it up. I listen to it, hang it up, and then just go back to my room. And then in my 10th grade year, which I went to Helen Bernstein, because I moved because my mom noticed that when she saw my final report card, which I couldn't hide because I had hidden all the other report cards, which were, I had 4 Fs, 1 C, and 1 D. And then for my final report card, that was the same thing I got. And then my dad finally saw that, and then he was like, "How could you miss so many days and we didn't even notice?" I'm like, "I don't know, Dad. I guess because you're never home." I told him that, and that hurt him so much because he devotes himself so much to his work because he wants a better life for me. He wants to give me something that he never had back in El Salvador. He wants to provide me with shelter, food, and anything I want. And he has so far, but I mean, I guess I just need that time to like hang out with my dad. But he works Monday through Saturday at 4 a.m. until 10 p.m., which is, I never see him. And then like honestly now I don't even live with my dad anymore. Like, I live with my mom. I've been living with my mom since back my 10th grade, about 3 years ago. I moved with my mom because my dad thought that would be the best, because my mom would have a better control of me. So during my 10th grade year, I was doing a little bit better, but I was still into the same stuff. I would ditch, but not as much. That I guess not at first though, because I didn't have any friends there. But once I started to get to know people, that's when it all de-escalated. It just went downhill from there. I would ditch, smoke, go to school sometimes, and then the times I did show up, I would show up to like 5 periods and then ditch my 6th period. And then this one time, I was smoking a cigarette in the men's restroom, and then I was walking down the main hall stairs, and Dean Rogers, he walks past by us, and we're it was 3 of us, but I was talking to 2 other friends, and then so he pulls us, he says us all by our names because he knew all of us. He's like, "Quinteros, Ortiz, and McLovin, come here." So he calls us over, and then he's like, "All right, so what do you guys have on you?" He's like, we don't have anything. So he searches us down, he checks our backpack, checks our pockets, and then my friend, when my friend was getting searched, he was telling me to throw the cigarettes because I had them. And then once he found them on me, he was like, "Oh, what is this?" I'm like, "You know what it is." He's like, he asked me like, "Why do you have to be a smartass about it?" I'm like, honestly, because I don't care. I don't care what happens. I just had that mentality that I didn't care what happened to me. I didn't see, I was selfish. I did it for all the wrong reasons. And then when he was sitting next to me and the police officers were writing me my ticket, Dean Rogers, he told me that I could have avoided this if I would have confronted him and told him that I had it, and if I hadn't act like a smartass, he probably wouldn't have given me a ticket. So he calls my mom. My mom comes furious. She picks me up, and then she takes me home. She doesn't do anything. She just buys me food, and that's it. Nothing. She doesn't talk about anything else. She doesn't talk about what happened. So I have the ticket, and I tell her when my court day is. But she doesn't really mind, I guess. And that was my first ticket. And then following after that, on May 25th, I remember the exact date. Well, actually May 24th, on Thursday, because Bernstein is separate into 4 academies. It's Butler, AIM, Apex, and STEM. So on Thursdays, Apex gets out early. They get out at 2. So I left because I was going to go kick it with the homies. I was going to go play cards with them and go skate. And then so as I'm leaving, as I'm walking out, Dean Rogers spots me. And he tells me, I'm like, aren't you, well, like, what academy are you in? I told him, Butler. He's like, you're not supposed to be out yet. I'm like, I know. And he's like, alright, well, you have 2 options. I'll either give you a ticket right now, or you go back to class. I'm like, alright, I'll go back to class. So as I'm walking by the gate, I'm thinking to myself, what am I gonna do in class? Like, school's over almost in like 30 minutes. So I'm going up. I just skate up. I just ignore the gate, keep going up to Sunset. I skate to McDonald's, meet up my homies, and then at 3:05, I get a call from my dad. My dad tells me that Dean Rogers called him and that he went to go check up on me in my 6th period and that he didn't find me. So he was telling me now I have to go down there. I have to take a day off to just go talk to your dean because you messed up. I'm like, alright then, I don't care. Just do it. And then my mom calls me too. She was angry. She was like, why'd you do it? Like, why'd you have to leave? Why couldn't you stay in school? I'm like, because I didn't want to. She's like, alright then. And then so my dad doesn't go to the meeting. And my mom goes. But I had plans to ditch that day with my friend Zeke. And that day we were supposed to go to the Grove. And we were just supposed to kick it, go to Korean barbecue, and have a good time. And I call him because we're there on Friday, May 25th. We're there, and I call him, hey, there might be a problem. I might not be able to go. And then he's on the phone. He's almost breaking up, like he was almost breaking down. Like he had been planning this for a month. And then I threw the plan out of the way because of me. And then so once we get there, and my mom's like, I'm waiting for the dean at 7:30. Like he's supposed to be here because I'm like, I'm gonna leave as soon as she's done talking to him. And then so I call my friend Zeke at 7:40, and I tell her, you know what? I'm gonna leave. I'll meet you. I'll be there at the Grove. Don't worry about it. I got this. So I tell my mom I'm gonna go use the restroom. We're sitting down in the steps, so I go to the restroom, and then I'm thinking about it. I'm like, should I do it? I'm like, yeah, I should do it. So I walk out. I walk out of Bernstein. And at 8, when I'm about to catch the bus, my mom starts calling me, texting me, calling me. Go back, come back. Let's talk to your dean. Come back, Joshua, come back. Joshua, I'm serious. You need to get back here. And then so I just call my friend David. Tell him, hey, meet me up at 3rd and Western. I'll be right there. I'm going to turn off my phone. My mom's calling me. He was like, alright then. So I meet him. The phone's off. And then after the day's over, I kick it with my friends. My mom picks me up. And then she acts like nothing happened. She takes me out. She buys me shoes. She buys me Subway. And then, but in the back of my mind, I knew that something was going to happen. I knew my mom wasn't just going to let it go just like that because I walked out on her. So I'm thinking about it, like, I wonder what she's going to do. So on July 14, I go, 3 army dudes show up at my house. And I was surprised. They just start screaming at me to get my pants on. So I do. Put my pants on and like, find your shoes. I'm like, alright, then I'm looking around. I don't see them. So I try to walk out to the living room. And that's when they grab me and they push me up against the wall. It's like, you don't do anything without us telling you to. I'm like, I'm alright. I'm just trying to get my shoes. It's like, alright. So I couldn't find my shoes in the living room either. And then like, just get those. I'm like, but those aren't mine. It's like, I don't care. Does it look like I care? Like, you're the one that messed up. You're the one that's here. I'm like, alright then. So I put them on. They push me up against the wall and they handcuff me. Take me to the car. And then I go down to Central and 22nd. But I didn't know that at the time. And then so I'm there for 5 hours until the actual boot camp starts. So I go there 3 more most gruesome days of my life. Like, it's unexplainable. Like, it was like the hardest thing, like, cause I didn't work out, I didn't do anything, so I go through those 3 days, and then but they tell you it's 6 months, and then so you're just thinking to yourself like 6 months of this, like seriously, like I don't think I'm like me. I was talking to some other guys, and like there was a 2x4, and like let's hit this guy and let's run, but they're like where are we gonna run to? We're in the middle of the forest. There's nowhere to run to. I was like, you're right. Let's just stick through this. So like, all right. So we stick through it. Turns out, last day on Sunday, Sergeant Gama, he's giving us this little talk. And then they make us write a letter to our parents. So when we're going back, I'm just thinking, like, what have I been doing with my life? And then so I get there and my parents are there, my mom and my dad. And then I hug them, I cry, and then I pull out this little sheet that I wrote, the little letter, and I read it to them. And honestly, getting that off my chest, like telling them like what was going on, like I felt so much better because they understood, and then they knew that I had changed in a little way, but there was a long process to go. So I say bye to my dad, I go with my mom, and then my mom she's just so happy for me. She gives me back my phone. She's like, I hope you learned your lesson now, and like you think it was easy for me to put you there, but it wasn't. I didn't even sleep these 3 days. I've been crying, honestly, like, cause I love you so much. I did this, and I knew that if you kept going down your ways, like you'd never go anywhere. And then through AHCC, I learned about SYA, the military school that I went to, and honestly, I feel bad for putting my parents through that and my family through that, but when I look back at it, I think I would do it all over again. I'd do everything exactly the same way, but just stay in school. That's the only thing, probably school, but other than that, like what my parents did for me, what they've been through and everything, like I'm just happy that they're still by my side. And I know they will be, cuz I love them and they love me, and that's just how family is. They understand you better than anybody else. Even when you think that they don't believe you and they don't understand you, that you're going in your own phase, they still know what's going on, and they're just waiting for you to talk to them. So yeah, I don't really regret anything.
What does your future hold?
My future holds for me a lot of PTSD, and joining the army or the Marine Corps for infantry, and earning my real dog tags, because these are from my SYA times. But soon, eventually, I will join and serve my country patriotically and proudly as well. Hold my head up high, like a real American.
Okay, is there anything that you've never told me but want to tell me now?
Yeah, about last week, I was about to go AWOL on everything. I was about to move out to South Carolina and just leave everything behind and not tell anybody, which is something I wouldn't be surprised that I do, but it just kind of felt like I should have told you, because you're like my best friend and I trust you in everything and you know everything about me, kind of, in a way. Some things are better left unsaid, though. So yeah, let's just leave it as that. But yeah, thinking of going AWOL pretty soon. If you don't hear from me, you got this video.
Are there any words of wisdom you'd like to pass along to me?
Some words of wisdom: stay in school, smoke tires, not drugs, and even though there may be some up and downs in life, you just gotta know there's always a light at the end of the tunnel, because it could be worse. you could be in worse situations, and you just gotta keep your head up high, kiddo, and just track on, you know, because you're gonna be something in life. You're gonna be something big, and I can't wait to see that if I'm still around, which I know I will be.